Are you the same leader in every room? Or does your leadership change depending on who's present? You're in a high stakes meeting. Your boss's boss is there. The exact moment opens up for you to contribute to the meeting. You've got the insight, the idea is clear in your head, you even feel it, but you say nothing. Not because you didn't know what to say, but because something in you shifted under pressure. There's a version of you that your team sees every day. You're confident, clear, decisive. And then there's a version that shows up when you are feeling a little pressure. You get more careful, more guarded, less like yourself. If those two versions don't match, you have a problem. And it's costing you more influence than you realize. And what makes this especially frustrating for Christian professionals is this. You've done the internal work. You've examined your values. You know the kind of leader that you want to be. You're not winging it about your life or your leadership. You are intentional about how you want to show up in the marketplace. But in that moment, the version of you that shows up wasn't the one you decided on. If this gap feels familiar, this video is for you. Let me make this personal for a second. Let me tell you how this used to show up in my life. I'm an ideas person. I'm an encourager. With my team, I would show up big picture, forward leaning, playing to win, bringing the vision. But then the moment I would get invited to certain senior meetings where there were more senior leaders around, everything would change. I would shift into this overly strategic version of myself. I'd leave those meetings so frustrated because of how I was showing up. I was showing up with this, I'm just happy to be here mindset instead of actually contributing. I had examined my values. I knew who I wanted to be, but that person didn't always show up when it mattered most. If you've ever had that gap between who you are and who shows up under pressure, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Here's what is actually happening. Your authority is being renegotiated every time the pressure changes. Many leaders operate in what I call situational authority. It's conditional. It works in familiar environments with familiar people. But when the stakes rise, when the room changes, when the visibility increases, they drift. Not because they lack skill, not because they haven't done the internal work, but because the decisions they made about who they want to be didn't hold under harder conditions. Situational authority is not reactive authority. I mean, you're past that stage. That's when you're just running off of unexamined instincts. In this stage, you've thought about who you want to be. You have made intentional decisions. That is real growth, but it's not anchored yet. Let me give you a working definition so we're clear on what we're talking about. The way I describe authority to my coaching clients is like this. Authority is the strength of signal that your life generates when you align who you are internally with how you show up externally. It's not about being louder. It's not about being more visible. It's not about personality or polish. It's about consistency between your internal decisions and your external behavior. You don't build authority based on your resume. People want to be able to predict how you're going to show up under pressure. Think about the leaders that you actually trust. They're not always impressive when things are easy, or they're not just impressive when things are easy. They're steady, even when things are uncertain. Their message doesn't change based on who's in the room. They don't become a different person when pressure rises. That is anchored authority. Imagine an NFL team with the top passing offense in the league. They've dominated all season through the air. But then when they get to the Super Bowl, the highest pressure game, they decide to run the ball 90% of the time. They have abandoned their distinguishing strength when it mattered most. I've watched leaders do that. I've done that. Pressure doesn't remove their authority. It exposes what wasn't anchored yet. Most Christian professionals misdiagnose this problem. They think things like, I need more confidence. I need better executive presence. I need better communication. But situational authority isn't a skill problem. It's an anchoring problem. If you haven't decided ahead of time who you will be when conditions change, you'll renegotiate in the moment. And that negotiation shows up as drift. There's a biblical picture of this that is very fascinating to me. It's Peter walking on the water. So he's doing fine until he notices the wind and the waves. Then he starts sinking. So Jesus reaches out, grabs him, lifts him up, and they walk back to the boat together. But notice this, they walked back to the boat and the winds and the waves didn't stop. The conditions didn't change. Peter's focus is. Later, you see that same pattern in Peter again. He's bold among the disciples. He's vocal, action-oriented, cutting off people's ears, But under extreme pressure, he denies even knowing who Jesus is. That is situational authority. Real conviction, inconsistent under pressure. But we see a different Peter after the resurrection. Something changes. Jesus restores him and re-anchors his leadership. He did this when he asked him 3 times, "Hey, Peter, do you love me? Feed my sheep." From that point on, Peter becomes predictable under pressure. Not perfect, but anchored. That's the move. Situational authority to anchored authority. And this is especially important for Christian professionals. See, your faith gives you a framework for examining your decisions. You've thought about what matters. You've thought about who you want to be and how you want to live. But if that framework doesn't govern how you show up under pressure, it stays theoretical and religious, really. Anchored authority is when your examined decisions become your operating system, not your background philosophy. It's when you have decided ahead of time, this is who I am. This is how I want to show up. You don't have to be perfect, just consistent. That's how authority is built in the marketplace. When people know how you behave when pressure hits, they'll trust you with more responsibility, with bigger rooms, and with greater influence. And that influence becomes your opportunity to distinguish yourself and get everything you want. So here's my question for you. Are you the same leader in every room? Or does your leadership drift when conditions change? If you're not sure, you don't have to guess. I've created a free authority assessment. It takes about 5 minutes to complete. It will show you exactly where you are. Reactive authority, situational authority, or anchored authority. The link is in the description. Take it before you close this tab. Listen, you can't build anchored authority until you know where you actually are. I'm Coach Arnold, and I'll see you in the next video.